kitchen memories, Southern based, that if you have a mixer or a bowl or a spoon or a fork, you're going to be able to do it. Or,
Okay.
a cast iron skillet, that's always
Okay.
very important in Southern cooking.
Okay.
So I would say no. I would say these are
Okay.
very easy. And even the things that I look at, I try to make them simple, because I don't mind spending a couple hours in the kitchen trying to make something right. But I know most people don't have that time or
Sure.
desire.
Hello, I'm Derek Cash with the North Little Rock Public Library System and want to welcome you to Meet the Author. Joining us today is Sandy Bradley to share and discuss her debut cookbook, Sandy Bradley Bakes and Cooks, Kitchen Memories. Thank you for joining us today.
It's very nice to be invited. Thank you.
All
for
right,
the
well, it's a
invitation.
pleasure, yes. The first question I'm going to ask you is, tell us about your history. How did you start going down this road to producing this cookbook?
Right. This was a pretty fast journey for me on a book, or writing a book, of course. I have a full-time job and a very busy corporate job. And I guess it was, sometime last year, probably in June, had a little bit of a health scare. Wasn't anything that came about or it all turned out okay. But it made me start to really think about what I had and what was in order in my life and what was important. Cooking has always been a joy for me. I mean, as long as I can remember, with my mom in the kitchen, easy bake oven. All little girls my age got an easy bake oven for Christmas.
I'm old
And
enough to remember them, yes.
it's exactly right. Now, they're not safe. I mean, for that matter, you burn your hands, you do all that stuff. They've improved them since 1964, of course.
Okay.
But I spent hours in the kitchen with my mom and my grandmom and grandmother, et cetera, and aunts and uncles, just watching them cook. And they was always happy. There was always a happy time. It was always the memories. When I think about learning to cook cornbread for the first time, I remember how the kitchen smells when I think about that. And it dawned on me that I needed to take my kitchen memories, and share those with my family and friends. If something happened to me, they die with me, right? And so
Yes.
my mom passed away rather young. And I remember going through the kitchen, and she had a drawer, and she had hundreds of recipes, like handwritten and clipped out of magazines, and they were just thrown in this drawer. No order, just thrown in the drawer. And as I dug kind of down through the layers of these recipes, I saw my grandmother's handwritten recipes. I saw my great grandmother's handwritten recipes, notes and letters with people that had written mom and sent her a recipe. And I thought, oh my goodness, we're going to lose this if you don't put it in some sort of order. So again, a long story short, I decided I wanted to do something for my daughter specifically, and for family and friends, by organizing my kitchen memories into a permanent collection. And as I started looking around and looking at the social media and things, I noticed a lot of people were writing cookbooks, and all sorts of variety of cookbooks, from handwritten in a notebook that you do yourself to what I call the church cookbooks, the little spiral bound with no
Yeah.
pictures, and like hundreds of little recipes that you would get at a church potluck, which, by the way, I'm a big fan of those cookbooks. And then I saw some that were hardbound and had more of a story and more of a feel that I was looking for. And I contacted some of these social creators and reached out to them. I said, who do you use? How do you do this? And one gentleman who was in Mississippi was very kind and befriended me and told me kind of his journey and how he got to publish a cookbook. So it was with a company out of England called Found. And of course, I did my research. I'm super skeptical about anything usually. So I did my research, and I found out that Found was legitimate. And it was easy for me. I got to control my content. I took my own photos, except for the ones that are of me in the book. I took all the rest of the photos. And I got to control the editing of the book. It's a self-published book, of course, and so therefore I controlled that. But for any sort of distribution, they handled that. And because I have a busy job, I don't have time to take orders and, take money and do this and do that. And that's not really what I was trying to do, was trying to, sell cookbooks. I wanted to have a permanent collection of recipes for my family and friends. So this book, as it came about very quickly, just in a period of a couple of months. Had several friends help me do some proofing, taste testing. You can do anything in the kitchen that you've done ever since you've been a little girl. But when you have to write it down and get the measurements right, the cooking time, that takes a little bit more time to do. So there's a few of those recipes that took a little bit of, testing to get it right so that you could reproduce exactly what I was cooking and trying to share. So with that, I had a team of family and friends, a very, very, very close knit group. And I swore them all to secrecy. I didn't want anybody to know I was writing a cookbook. And it was very personal to me. And so as they helped me edit it and to taste the recipes, their enthusiasm for this excited me. And I knew that I was on the right track. So long story short, I had asked my boss for permission to write a book. And he didn't have an idea of what I was really talking about on a cookbook, but he agreed that I could do it. And when he saw it, he was kind of blown away. He said, "Sandy, you wrote a cookbook." And I said, "Yes, sir, I did." And he said, "I'm so proud of you. When did you have time to do that?" He knows my work schedule. And I said, "Well, I would do it when I came home, or I would do it late at night and on weekends." And he was it made me happy that he was proud of the product. And it made me proud, even more proud, when I surprised my family and friends and how excited they were about getting the cookbook and, teasing me about, "Well, gosh, you'd never give us the recipe for the carrot cake, and now it's in a book and you're sharing it with the world." And I said, "Well, now you've got the carrot cake recipe. So all is good. So everybody settle down and enjoy. And next time, instead of asking me to cook it, you can cook it." And so, it's just been a fun journey. And I've met a lot of different people that have bought the cookbook that like it. And but what we all have in common, Derek, is we all have a kitchen memory. And when I meet people either through work or through this cooking circle, one of my first questions is, what is your first kitchen memory? What kitchen memory do you have? And when people, no matter what walk of life they're in, always revert back to that period of time in their life, and they start saying, "Well, my grandmother would help me make an apple pie, and I would," and they just start taking me through what her kitchen looks like, what they had on, how old they were, what it tasted like, what it smelled. And they're extremely descriptive in their kitchen memory. And sometimes they'll say, "Oh, gosh, I wished I had that recipe." And I said, "Well, why don't you come over to the house and we'll make that together. We'll try to copy that." And that is some of the best time that I've had with family and friends and new friends, trying to replicate their kitchen memory to their satisfaction. And I know how the recipes in this book make me feel when I cook them. I think takes me back to my mom or my grandmom or my aunt or a friend or a neighbor. It just takes me back. And although they're gone, they kind of come back to life in my memory, in my world. And so it was just a project near and dear to my heart. And that was a long answer to one question.
One of the questions you answered that I was going to ask was the photography. And as you said, you took the photography. This book is, I don't know what the word is, but it's absolutely gorgeous. Every recipe has got
Thank you.
A photograph. My favorite is the marshmallow fudge. And I'll tell you why. Because it's got crumbs.
Yes.
That's what I expect to see.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying mocking the other photographs because, you know, with anything, you'd want to clean it up, etc. But the marshmallow fudge, you've got it cut and it's got the crumbs and everything, and just that's real. I'm not saying the others aren't realistic, but you know
No,
what I'm
I
trying
know
to
exactly
say.
what
Yes,
I know
you're
exactly
gonna
what.
cut, and it's gonna be there. So congratulations for putting
Thank
one
you.
in there that was like that. But they're all beautifully done, and I'm impressed that you took the pictures. So congratulations for
Thank you.
that.
Well,
Yes.
and my thought is on the fudge recipe that you brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Although the marshmallow fudge is a recipe that's not a secret or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that, it was very popular during the 70s,
Oh,
especially
okay. Uh-huh.
when. But that was the first recipe that I ever made in a microwave.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so that was kind of the fun memory I had about that. My father bought my mother a microwave for Christmas,
Okay.
and a mano radar range of all things.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out how to use it and how to cook with it because it was just, man, I said, Derek, that was like state of the art. No one had one of those, and in
Yeah.
my hometown anyway.
Yeah. I
And
mean, I can
so,
remember Barbara Hale, from Perry
yes,
Mason,
yes,
advertising the Amana
totally.
radar ranges. Yes.
Totally. Della Street did it. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Barbara Hill, Della Street. But so as I made that, that was the first successful recipe we made in that microwave. And so I kind of laugh about it because I just remember we had some disasters in that microwave, might I add. But that was the first successful one we did.
Mhm.
So that I just kind of giggle with that one because my dad and mom were so proud after he spent that much money on an appliance that we actually could eat something out of it.
Okay.
So it was that's my funny kitchen memory with that
Okay.
one.
Yeah. Well, to the audience that's watching this program, Sandy made some of her recipes and brought them to the library.
Yes, sir.
So I have tasted them. They are delicious. So
Thank you.
it's I can attest to the fact that if you're interested in buying this cookbook, buy it because they are
Oh,
delicious. So keep that in mind, whoever's watching this. Yes. Are you thinking about writing a second edition?
you know, uh, that's an interesting question, and some of my friends that will watch this will probably fall out of their chair. I actually am thinking about writing a second version of this only because when people got this and the people that come to my home on
Mhm.
regular visits, they'll say, well, gosh, where's this recipe or where's that recipe? And I said, well, those recipes were newer kitchen memories for me.
Mhm.
Most of the recipes in this first book are that go, like I said, go back to my mom or my grandmom
Mhm.
or my dad, who was very good at telling you how to cook and knew what tasted good. So, and his mother was an excellent cook too. So, with that, there is a possible. I'll tease you with this. There may be
Uh-huh.
a second version with more recipes that would have more people would know that I have cooked since my daughter was born. And she was born in 96. So maybe post 96 and pre 96 cookbook, something
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Are there any recipes that you would have liked to have included, but you thought they're just too difficult for most people, either because of you've got to buy expensive equipment or incredibly expensive ingredients?
You know, the one in, well, I'm going to answer that a different way.
Okay.
There is one recipe in this cookbook that is challenging to some, but shouldn't be because I've tried to
Okay.
break it down and make it easy. And that is turkey and Southern style dressing. It's
Okay.
a lengthy process if you work. Uh,
Ah.
so that's a tough one, and not that expensive, but a turkey's pretty pricey. So had broke that down to where when I was working, had Lauren, and she was a baby and things. That I made it a 3 or 4 day process. I'd like cook the bread,
Ah.
toast the
Okay.
bread several
Uh-huh.
days out. I would cut the celery, dice the onions 2 days out, put it in the fridge. So I was constantly like prepping something where it could all come together.
Mhm.
So I guess there's not much of anything that I cook or do that I go out and buy a gadget for.
Okay.
Now my kitchen's well stocked. I'm not saying over
Sure.
the
I'm
years
sure
that
it
I
is.
haven't
Yes.
that
Uh-huh.
I had the
Yeah. You
things
can
that I
tell.
want.
Yes.
But most of the recipes in this cookbook really don't take any special item because you don't want it so hard that no one will cook. You want it to
Mhm.
make cooking easy.
Okay.
I think that as far as I'm trying to think of anything that I've bought specially or specifically that would be real expensive. And I don't think it is. I think these are
Okay.
just down home kitchen memories, Southern based, that if you have a mixer or a bowl or a spoon or a fork, you're going to be able to do it. Or,
Okay.
a cast iron skillet. That's always
Okay.
very important in Southern cooking.
Okay.
So I would say no. I would say these are
Okay.
very easy. And even the things that I look at, I try to make them simple because I don't mind spending a couple hours in the kitchen trying to make something right, but I know most people don't have that time or
Sure.
desire.
Okay.
So no, I don't think
Okay.
I have anything
Okay.
that's too
All right.
crazy.
All right. Martha Stewart does not like pumpkin, and I don't like making meringues.
Oh,
Are there
really?
any food that you don't care to use or make anything that comes to mind,
Did my family hint to you about this question by
No,
chance?
I just don't like, I
You
just know
you
Martha
get
Stewart's famous
a
for not liking pumpkin, and I don't like making meringues. I thought, well, maybe there's something you don't like making that you just,
yes, there
yeah.
is, and
Okay,
that's
what
why I
is
thought
it?
maybe my family may have
Uh-huh.
slipped you a note.
Uh-huh.
I hate eggs. Hate them. Hate them. Hate them. Uh, you could pay me $1,000,000. I'm not going to eat an egg straight up. Not going to happen.
Okay,
There
because
is one
in
recipe in this cookbook that I
uh-huh.
make because my mom let me make it as a kid, and it's deviled eggs, but I won't eat them.
Okay, because
I
in the
won't eat 'em.
movie To Catch a Thief, Alfred Hitchcock hated eggs, and he has one of the actresses put a cigarette out in a deviled egg, and so I just,
That's fine
yeah,
with me.
okay, all right,
And
okay,
well, I cook with eggs in cakes and pies and things
uh-huh.
where I know you use eggs for the chemistry of the baking.
Yes,
It's
uh-huh.
either hold it together, make it rise, do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the taste and the texture of the egg does not exist in things that you incorporate an egg in,
Mm-hmm.
like a meatloaf or something like that.
Sure.
Do not ask me to scramble you. I mean, if you come to my house, Derek, I will cook you anything except you can fry your own or scramble your own egg, and
Okay.
I will leave the room. I don't even like to smell it. And you
Uh-huh.
better not leave any of those dirty dishes, egg dishes. That is grounds for divorce in my house. It is
Okay.
just that's the only thing that would get me
Okay.
to divorce anybody.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the answer.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, Derek, there's one funny fact about me. I won the state egg cook-off.
Oh my goodness.
Never tasted the recipe, and my husband tasted the whole thing.
Oh wow. Now
Yeah,
that, okay.
that's just a funny fact.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. If you could have dinner with three people, living or dead, who would they
Mhm.
be?
Oh, it would definitely be my mom and my dad,
Uh-huh.
and most likely somebody that was near and dear to my in my cooking world life. It was a gentleman out of Texarkana, Lynn Lowe.
Okay. What would you prepare
What would I prepare for
for those three
them?
people? Yeah. Uh-huh.
If those three people were in the room, I would do obviously Southern comfort food. I
Mm-hmm.
would probably do, peas and cornbread and fried potatoes, sliced homegrown tomatoes, fresh butter. Probably do some sort of a pie or probably carrot cake because that's kind of what I'm known for.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I would want something that wouldn't take too long to cook,
Sure.
so we could talk and so
Mm-hmm.
we could catch up on times.
Okay. All right. I have a question about so many people have got allergies of some
Yes.
sort or another. Have you ever considered making a cookbook for people who are allergic to, I don't know, strawberries or chocolate, or they can't eat too much salt? Because have you ever considered making a cookbook like that?
I've actually thought about making an egg-free cookbook, to be perfectly
Okay.
honest.
All right.
That's kind of a joke. I'm allergic to strawberries, so
Okay.
I do cook with strawberries, and if I eat them, I get a little bit of a reaction. I've really thought about the next cookbook that I'd kind of thought about past this other. I kind of got two others in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
One is kind of the house divided. Uh, I want a healthy recipe versus an unhealthy recipe.
All right.
Uh, so that kind of takes on to what you're saying about allergies in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for instance, there are healthy ways to do most any recipe, a
Mm-hmm.
Southern recipe especially. So I've thought about doing house divided, where one half of the house will eat the unhealthy, the fat laden food, and the
Uh-huh.
other one is, whatever. So I've thought about that. I thought that'd be kind of clever and kind of fun. to have it side by side
Mhm.
and have a healthy version. For instance, like spaghetti and meatballs. Have a spaghetti squash and meatball, and then have just the spaghetti with pasta or whatever. But anyway, there's a few things like that we're rolling around in my memory bank, I guess. But
Okay. All right. Okay. Sandy, we want people to buy your book.
well, how sweet.
Yes. Are you tell people, the audience, any social media where that you're in, and how any online places where they can buy this book?
Well, you're going to find that I'm extremely easy and very thin on social media. I
Okay.
have a Facebook account, period. That's where
Okay.
it starts and stops. And
Mm-hmm.
it's Sandy Bradley Bakes. And the other place that you can find this book locally is at St. Joe's. It's a orphanage at the top in North Little Rock on top of a wonderful, beautiful hill. And they have a farmer's market there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some cookbooks there locally.
Okay.
The other place that you can certainly look at is at found.com.
Okay.
And
All right.
they also, you can buy direct. This cookbook is both in hardback, and you can get it downloaded. You can just, do it either way. If you
Oh,
prefer not
okay.
to have a
Okay.
cookbook, you can
All
just get
right.
the PDF of
All
it.
right. Okay. Well, Sandy, this has been a pleasure. I just have enjoyed listening to you. It's just been great.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for being on this program.
Well, Derek, thanks for the invitation.
Uh-huh.
And I could talk to you all day. So
Okay.
we better
Yes.
cut it short and not bore everybody. How's that?
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. If you're interested in reading Sandy Bradley Bakes and Cooks Kitchen Memories, you can check it out from the library or purchase it wherever books are sold. Also, you can find more information at sandybradleybakes.com and our website, nlrlibrary.org. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you the next time. Have a great day, everyone.